When Henry VIII took to the throne of England, his reign and his beliefs changed the course of the whole world. Had his obsession for a male heir not led him to co-opt Protestantism to secure a divorce, historian Daniel Selwood says he no doubt would have continued his strong support of Catholic teachings. So now, looking back hundreds of years, what would have happened if Henry never divorced his first wife, Catherine of Aragon? How might England be different today?
The thing that you've got to remember about this is, of course, there was no inevitability at all that the Reformation would have happened in England. The fact is, it took a particular man with a particular problem to bring it about. And if we take that out of the picture, actually, there's really not much evidence that there would have been a Reformation, because England didn't have large pockets of Protestants in the ways Switzerland or France or Germany had. It wasn't somewhere where Protestantism had really taken hold. So there's every likelihood that if Henry hadn't felt the need for political reasons to create the Reformation and impose it from the top down, there's no evidence that actually it would have happened from the bottom up.
You say, quote, "The English Reformation had never happened. Our cathedrals would blaze with color, our monasteries would house the homeless, and our nation would be less gloomy." What makes you come to this conclusion? Is it something about Catholicism in itself?
Well, I think that the issue about gloominess and personality and about sort of the English characteristics and traits, that goes back to the thought really that if you think about what happened when the Tudors imposed their Reformation, they had to do it with force and with violence and with suppressing ways of behavior and ways of thinking that people had. And we know from a lot of the great studies that have been done in the last 15 or 20 years just quite how vibrant parish and community life was, with guilds and mystery plays, and it was really quite an expressive, flamboyant culture. Protestantism, and then as it evolves into Puritanism, brings in a much more calm, dour, introspective, more modest, more buttoned up kind of culture. And that, of course, gets reflected in the national characteristics.
And now moving to geopolitics, you said that one of the most significant consequences would be the colonization of the New World. So if England had remained Catholic, what would you think the United States would look like now?
That's a really interesting counterfactual, isn't it? Because, of course, we all know that with the Pilgrim Fathers, there is this very strong religious element to it. Had the Reformation not happened in England, well, of course, they would have been in a very different position. So much more like the Spanish or the Portuguese or the French, who also went over and discovered parts of the New World. That leads to some really interesting ideas about American identity, because we think a lot about an Anglo-Saxon Protestant idea, which for a long time was quite dominant internationally.
But history didn't run that course, so we can only say, what if? Regardless, Selwood believes that England's Catholicism deserves to be recognized and acknowledged. Reporting for Currents, I'm Michelle Powers.